What dire offence from amorous causes springs, what mighty contests rise from trivial things, I sing. This verse to Caril muse is due, this e'en Belinda may vouchsafe to view. Slight is the subject, but not so the praise, if she inspire and he approve my lays.
Say, what strange motive, goddess, could compel a well-bred lord to assault a gentle belle? Oh, say, what stranger cause, yet unexplored, could make a gentle belle reject a lord? In tasks so bold can little men engage, and in soft bosoms dwells such mighty rage? Sol through white curtains shot a timorous ray, and oped those eyes that must eclipse the day. Now lap-dogs give themselves the rousing shake, and sleepless lovers, just at 12, awake. Thrice rung the bell, the slipper knocked the ground, and the pressed watch returned a silver sound. Belinda, still her downy pillow pressed, her guardian sylph prolonged the balmy rest. 'Twas he had summoned to her silent bed the morning dream that hovered o'er her head, a youth more glittering than a birthnight bow, that even in slumber caused her cheek to glow. Seemed to her ear his winning lips to lay, and thou seemed to say,
Fairest of mortals, thou distinguished care of thousand bright inhabitants of air, if e'er one vision touched thy infant thought, of all the nurse and all the priest have taught, or airy elves by moonlight shadows seen, the silver token and the circled green, or virgins visited by angel powers with golden crowns and wreaths of heavenly flowers. Hear and believe. Thy own importance know, nor bound thy narrow views to things below. Some secret truths from learned pride concealed, to maids alone and children are revealed. What though no credit doubting wits may give, the fair and innocent shall still believe. Know then, unnumbered spirits round thee fly, the light militia of the lower sky. These, though unseen, are ever on the wing, hang o'er the box and hover round the ring. Think what an equipage thou hast in air, and view with scorn 2 pages and a chair. As now your own, our beings were of old, and once enclosed in woman's beauteous mould. Thence by a soft transition we repair from earthly vehicles to those of air. Think not, when woman's transient breath is fled, that all her vanities at once are dead. Succeeding vanities she still regards, and though she plays no more, o'erlooks the cards. Her joy in gilded chariots when alive, and love of ombre after death survive. For when the fair in all their pride expire, to their first elements their souls retire. The sprites of fiery termagants in flame mount up and take a salamander's name. Soft yielding minds to water glide away, and sip with nymphs their elemental tea. The graver prude sinks downward to a gnome, in search of mischief still on earth to roam. The light coquettes in sylphs aloft repair, and sport and flutter in the fields of air. No further yet, whoever fair and chaste rejects mankind is by some sylph embraced. For spirits freed from mortal laws with ease assume what sexes and what shapes they please. What guards the purity of melting maids in courtly balls and midnight masquerades, safe from the treacherous friend, the daring spark, the glance by day, the whisper in the dark, when kind occasion prompts their warm desires, when music softens, and when dancing fires? 'Tis but their sylph, the wise celestials know, though honour is the word with men below. Some nymphs there are, too conscious of their face, for life predestined to the gnome's embrace. These swell their prospects and exalt their pride, when offers are disdained and love denied. Then gay ideas crowd the vacant brain, while peers and dukes and all their sweeping train, and garters, stars, and coronets appear, and in soft sounds your grace salutes their ear. 'Tis these that early taint the female soul, instruct the eyes of young coquettes to roll, teach infant cheeks a bidden blush to know, and little hearts to flutter at a bow. Oft, when the world imagine women stray, the sylphs through mystic mazes guide their way. Through all the giddy circle they pursue, and old impertinence expel by new. What tender maid but must a victim fall to one man's treat, but for another's ball? When Florio speaks, what virgin could withstand if gentle Damon did not squeeze her hand? With varying vanities from every part, they shift the moving toy shop of their heart, where wigs, with sword knot strive, bows banish bows, and coaches drive. This erring mortals levity may call. Oh, blind to truth, the sylphs contrive it all. Of these am I, who thy protection claim, a watchful sprite, and Ariel is my name. Late as I range the crystal wilds of air in the clear mirror of thy ruling star, I saw, alas, some dread event impend, ere to the main this morning sun descend. But heaven reveals not what, or how, or where. Warned by thy sylph, O pious maid, beware. This to disclose is all thy guardian can. Beware of all, but most beware of man.
He said, when Shock, who thought she slept too long, leapt up and waked his mistress with his tongue. 'Twas then, Belinda, if report say true, thy eyes first opened on a billet doux. Wounds, charms, and ardours were no sooner read, but all the vision vanished from thy head. And now, unveiled, the toilet stands displayed, each silver vase in mystic order laid. First, robed in white, the nymph intent adores, with head uncovered, the cosmetic powers. A heavenly image in the glass appears, to that she bends, to that her eyes she rears. The inferior priestess at her altar's side, trembling begins the sacred rites of pride. Unnumbered treasures ope at once, and here the various offerings of the world appear. From each she nicely culls with curious toil, and decks the goddess with the glittering spoil. This casket India's glowing gems unlocks, and all Arabia breathes from yonder box. The tortoise here and elephant unite, transformed to combs the speckled and the white. Here files of pins extend their shining rows, puffs, powders, patches, Bibles, billets doux. Now awful beauty puts on all its arms. The fair each moment rises in her charms, repairs her smiles, awakens every grace, and calls forth all the wonders of her face. Sees by degrees a purer blush arise, and keener lightnings quicken in her eyes. The busy sylphs surround their darling care. These set the head, and those divide the hair. Some fold the sleeve, whilst others plait the gown, and Betty's praised for labours not her own.
Not with more glories in the ethereal plain the sun first rises o'er the purpled main, than issuing forth the rival of his beams, launched on the bosom of the silver Thames. Fair nymphs and well-dressed youths around her shone, but every eye was fixed on her alone. On her white breast a sparkling cross she wore, which Jews might kiss and infidels adore. Her lively looks a sprightly mind disclose, quick as her eyes and as unfixed as those. Favours to none, to all she smiles extends. Oft she rejects, but never once offends. Bright as the sun her eyes the gazers strike, and like the sun they shine on all alike. Yet graceful ease and sweetness void of pride might hide her faults, if belles had faults to hide. If to her share some female errors fall, look on her face, and you'll forget 'em all. This nymph, to the destruction of mankind, nourished 2 locks, which graceful hung behind in equal curls, and well conspired to deck with shining ringlets the smooth ivory neck. Love in these labyrinths his slaves detains, and mighty hearts are held in slender chains. With hairy springes we the birds betray, slight lines of hair surprise the finny prey. Fair tresses man's imperial race ensnare, and beauty draws us with a single hair. The adventurous baron the bright locks admired. He saw, he wished, and to the prize aspired. Resolved to win, he meditates the way, by force to ravish, or by fraud betray. For when success a lover's toil attends, few ask if fraud or force attained his ends. For this, ere Phoebus rose, he had implored propitious heaven and every power adored. But chiefly love, to love an altar built, of 12 vast French romances neatly gilt. There lay 3 garters, half a pair of gloves, and all the trophies of his former loves. With tender billet doux he lights the pyre, and breathes 3 amorous sighs to raise the fire. Then prostrate falls, and begs with ardent eyes soon to obtain and long possess the prize. The powers gave ear, and granted half his prayer. The rest the winds dispersed in empty air.
But now secure the painted vessel glides, the sunbeams trembling on the floating tides, while melting music steals upon the sky, and softened sounds along the waters die. Smooth flow the waves, the zephyrs gently play. Belinda smiled, and all the world was gay. All but the sylph, with careful thoughts oppressed, the impending woe sat heavy on his breast. He summons straight his denizens of air, the lucid squadrons round the sails repair. Soft o'er the shrouds aerial whispers breathe, that seemed but zephyrs to the train beneath. Some to the sun their insect wings unfold, waft on the breeze, or sink in clouds of gold. Transparent forms too fine for mortal sight, their fluid bodies half dissolved in light. Loose to the wind their airy garments flew, thin glittering textures of the filmy dew, dipped in the richest tincture of the skies, where light disports in ever-mingling dyes, while every beam new transient colours flings, colours that change whene'er they wave their wings. Amid the circle on the gilded mast, superior by the head, was Ariel placed. His purple pinions opening to the sun, he raised his azure wand, and thus begun.
Ye sylphs and sylphids, to your chief give ear, fays, fairies, genii, elves, and daimons, hear. Ye know the spheres, and various tasks assigned by laws eternal to the aerial kind. Some in the fields of purest ether play, and bask and whiten in the blaze of day. Some guide the course of wandering orbs on high, or roll the planets through the boundless sky. Some, less refined, beneath the moon's pale light, pursue the stars that shoot athwart the night, or suck the mists in grosser air below, or dip their pinions in the painted bow, or brew fierce tempests on the wintry main, or o'er the glebe distill the kindly rain. Others on earth or human race preside, watch all their ways and all their actions guide. Of these the chief the care of nations own, and guard with arms divine the British throne. Our humbler province is to tend the fair, not a less pleasing though less glorious care, to save the powder from too rude a gale, nor let the imprisoned essences exhale, to draw fresh colours from the vernal flowers, to steal from rainbows ere they drop in showers a brighter wash, to curl their waving hairs, assist their blushes, and inspire their airs. Nay, oft in dreams invention we bestow, to change a flounce or add a furbelow. This day black omens threat the brightest fair that e'er deserved a watchful spirit's care. Some dire disaster, or by force or sleight, but what or where the fates have wrapped in night. Whether the nymph shall break Diana's law, or some frail china jar receive a flaw, or stain her honour or her new brocade, forget her prayers or miss a masquerade, or lose her heart or necklace at a ball, or whether heaven has doomed that shock must fall. Haste then, ye spirits, to your charge repair. The fluttering fan be Zephyretta's care. The drops to thee, Brillante, we consign, and Momentilla let the watch be thine. Do thou, Crispissa, tend her favourite lock. Ariel himself shall be the guard of shock. To 50 chosen sylphs of special note we trust the important charge, the petticoat. Oft have we known that sevenfold fence to fail, though stiff with hoops and armed with ribs of whale. Form a strong line about the silver bound, and guard the wide circumference around. Whatever spirit, careless of his charge, his post neglects, or leaves the fair at large, shall feel sharp vengeance soon o'ertake his sins, be stopped in vials, or transfixed with pins, or plunged in lakes of bitter washes lie, or wedged whole ages in a bodkin's eye. Gums and pomatums shall his flight restrain, while clogged he beats his silken wings in vain. Or alum styptics with contracting power shrink his thin essence like a rivelled flower. Or, as Ixion fixed, the wretch shall feel the giddy motion of the whirling mill, in fumes of burning chocolate shall glow, and tremble at the sea that froths below.
He spoke. The spirits from the sails descend, some, orb in orb, around the nymph extend. Some thread the mazy ringlets of her hair, some hang upon the pendants of her ear. With beating hearts the dire event they wait, anxious and trembling for the birth of fate.
Close by those meads, for ever crowned with flowers, where Thames with pride surveys his rising towers, there stands a structure of majestic frame, which from the neighbouring Hampton takes its name. Here Britain's statesmen oft the fall foredoom of foreign tyrants and of nymphs at home. Here thou, great Anna, whom 3 realms obey, dost sometimes counsel take, and sometimes tea. Hither the heroes and the nymphs resort to taste awhile the pleasures of a court. In various talk the instructive hours they passed, who gave the ball or paid the visit last. One speaks the glory of the British Queen, and one describes a charming Indian screen. A third interprets motions, looks, and eyes. At every word a reputation dies. Snuff or the fan supply each pause of chat, with singing, laughing, ogling, and all that.
Meanwhile, declining from the noon of day, the sun obliquely shoots his burning ray. The hungry judges soon the sentence sign, and wretches hang, that jurymen may dine. The merchant from the exchange returns in peace, and the long labours of the toilet cease. Belinda now, whom thirst of fame invites, burns to encounter 2 adventurous knights, at ombre singly to decide their doom, and swells her breast with conquests yet to come. Straight the 3 bands prepare in arms to join, each band the number of the sacred 9. Soon as she spreads her hand, the aerial guard descend and sit on each important card. First Ariel perched upon a matador, then each according to the rank they bore. For sylphs, yet mindful of their ancient race, are, as when women, wondrous fond of place. Behold, 4 kings in majesty revered, with hoary whiskers and a forky beard, and 4 fair queens whose hands sustain a flower, the expressive emblem of their softer power. 4 knaves in garb succinct, a trusty band, caps on their heads and halberts in their hand, and party-coloured troops, a shining train, draw forth to combat on the velvet plain.
The skilful nymph reviews her force with care.
Let spades be trumps, she said, and trumps they were.
Now move to war her sable matadors, in show like leaders of the swarthy Moors. Spadilio first, unconquerable lord, led off 2 captive trumps and swept the board. As many more Mamilio forced to yield, and marched a victor from the verdant field. Him Basto followed, but his fate more hard gained but 1 trump and 1 plebeian card. With his broad sabre next, a chief in years, the hoary majesty of Speaight appears, puts forth one manly leg to sight revealed, the rest his many-coloured robe concealed. The rebel knave, who dares his prince engage, proves the just victim of his royal rage. E'en mighty Pam, that kings and queens o'erthrew, and mowed down armies in the fights of Loo, sad chance of war, now destitute of aid, falls undistinguished by the victor Speaight. Thus far both armies to Belinda yield. Now to the Baron fate inclines the field. His warlike Amazon her host invades, the imperial consort of the crown of spades. The club's black tyrant first her victim died, spite of his haughty mien and barbarous pride. What boots the regal circle on his head, his giant limbs in state unwieldy spread, that long behind he trails his pompous robe, and of all monarchs only grasps the globe. The Baron now his diamonds pours apace, the embroidered king who shows but half his face, and his refulgent queen with powers combined, of broken troops an easy conquest find. Clubs, diamonds, hearts in wild disorder seen, with throngs promiscuous strow the level green. Thus when dispersed a routed army runs, of Asia's troops and Afric's sable sons, with like confusion different nations fly, of various habit and of various dye. The pierced battalions disunited fall, in heaps on heaps. One fate o'erwhelms them all.
The knave of diamonds tries his wily arts, and wins, oh shameful chance, the queen of hearts. At this the blood the virgin's cheek forsook, a livid paleness spreads o'er all her look. She sees and trembles at the approaching ill, just in the jaws of ruin and codille. And now, as oft in some distempered state, on one nice trick depends the general fate. An ace of hearts steps forth. The king unseen lurked in her hand, and mourned his captive queen. He springs to vengeance with an eager pace, and falls like thunder on the prostrate ace. The nymph exulting fills with shouts the sky, the walls, the woods, and long canals reply. O thoughtless mortals, ever blind to fate, too soon dejected and too soon elate, sudden these honours shall be snatched away, and cursed forever this victorious day. For lo, the board with cups and spoons is crowned, the berries crackle and the mill turns round. On shining altars of Japan they raise the silver lamp, the fiery spirits blaze. From silver spouts the grateful liquors glide, while China's earth receives the smoking tide. At once they gratify their scent and taste, and frequent cups prolong the rich repast. Straight hover round the fair her airy band, some as she sipped the fuming liquor fanned, some o'er her lap their careful plumes displayed, trembling and conscious of the rich brocade. Coffee, which makes the politician wise, and see through all things with his half-shut eyes, sent up in vapours to the baron's brain new stratagems, the radiant lock to gain. Ah, cease, rash youth, desist ere 'tis too late, fear the just gods, and think of Scylla's fate. Changed to a bird, and sent to flit in air, she dearly pays for Nisus' injured hair.
But when to mischief mortals bend their will, how soon they find fit instruments of ill. Just then Clarissa drew with tempting grace a two-edged weapon from her shining case. So ladies in romance assist their knight, present the spear and arm him for the fight. He takes the gift with reverence, and extends the little engine on his fingers' ends. This just behind Belinda's neck he spread, and o'er the fragrant streams she bends her head. Swift to the lock 1,000 sprites repair, 1,000 wings by turn blow back the hair, and thrice they twitched the diamond in her ear. Thrice she looked back, and thrice the foe drew near. Just in that instant anxious Ariel sought the close recesses of the virgin's thought. As on the nosegay in her breast reclined, he watched the ideas rising in her mind. Sudden he viewed, in spite of all her art, an earthly lover lurking at her heart. Amazed, confused, he found his power expired, resigned to fate, and with a sigh retired.
The pier now spreads the glittering forefecks wide to enclose the lock, now joins it to divide. Even then, before the fatal engine closed, a wretched sylph too fondly interposed. Fate urged the shears and cut the sylph in twain, but airy substance soon unites again. The meeting points the sacred hair dissever from the fair head for ever and for ever. Then flashed the living lightning from her eyes, and screams of horror rend the affrighted skies. Not louder shrieks to pitying heaven are cast, when husbands or when lapdogs breathe their last, or when rich china vessels fallen from high in glittering dust and painted fragments lie.
Let wreaths of triumph now my temples twine, the victor cried. The glorious prize is mine. While fish in streams or birds delight in air, or in a coach and six the British fair, as long as Atalantis shall be read, or the small pillow grace a lady's bed, while visits shall be paid on solemn days, when numerous wax lights in bright order blaze, while nymphs take treats or assignations give, so long my honour, name, and praise shall live. What time would spare from steel receives its date, and monuments like men submit to fate. Steel could the labour of the gods destroy, and strike to dust the imperial towers of Troy. Steel could the works of mortal pride confound, and hew triumphal arches to the ground. What wonder then, fair nymph, thy hair should feel the conquering force of unresisted steel?